In this video, I'm going to show you 4 plug-and-play electric guitar chains that I've made in StudioVerse. Now, if you're looking for big and beefy, distorted guitar sounds that borrow a little bit of inspiration from some of the most legendary guitarists ever, stay tuned. Not only do these chains sound great through the speakers, but they also feel amazing to play where it counts, at the guitar. All of these chains have been built around our brand new voltage guitar amp plugin that gives players 5 iconic guitar amplifiers and cabinets to rock out with. All of the amps have the same controls, which makes it incredibly easy to compare and choose the amps that work best for you. A standout feature in the voltage amps is the focus knob, and this does exactly what it says on the tin. With focus, you can control how tight the DI signal is from the guitar. Simply turn the knob until you find the perfect guitar tone. Now, back to the chains. Besides voltage, these chains also feature several of our amazing stomp boxes and plugins, as well as a handy tuner in the first insert of the rack view. If you want to dive in and tweak any of the plugins within these chains, you can. But do guitarists really want to play around with complicated plugins when they're trying to get a part down? I certainly don't. That's why each of these chains feature just a handful of macros to help you dial in the perfect tone that not only sounds great at your ears, but also feels flawless at your fingers as well. As I said at the start, the 4 chains that I'm going to show you in this video all take a little inspiration from some of the most legendary guitarists ever, starting with Wet, Dry, Wet, Whither. And the concept behind this chain is influenced by Brian May's triple Vox AC30 setup. Wet, Dry, Wet refers to the 2 outer amps being heavily distorted and affected, with the centre amp being cleaner. In the rack view of this chain, the centre amp being the Silverado, we have it on the drive setting with a medium gain, and with an additional parallel split rack, we have 1 amp to the left, another to the right, and these are both the Royal X amp on lead, high gain, and they both have very slight little differences in tone and focus, which helps to exaggerate more of a stereo width effect. And with those 2 amps that are hard left and hard right, that sound feeds into some chorus, and then into some S1 widening. The combination of these 2 amps, centre and left and right, run into some EQ to add some shape, and then into a parallel effects rack, so dry being the combination, centre, left and right, bit of delay, and reverb. Now that's the complicated view. If we go over to the macros, all of this is controllable here, nice and easy. So we have level for the slightly crunched centre amp, level for the hard left and right, heavily distorted stereo amps, chorus and whither that affects just those stereo amps, and delay and reverb for the combination of the 3. Let's take the stereo amps all the way down, and let's just take a listen to this centre amp, and then we'll wind this in. Okay, and the stereo amps. If you want an even wider sound, play around with chorus and whither, and if you want your guitar to sound deeper and bigger, play around with the delay and reverb. Let's just take these all out and you can hear them as I wind them in. Give this preset a try if you have some big crunchy chords, riffs. Also works really well for solos. Okay, let's move on to the next chain, and it takes inspiration from Muse's Matt Bellamy. His setup has changed many times over the years, but one thing he does in the studio a lot is record and blend lots of different distortions and tones together from source. And this chain imitates that using parallel split racks, which are all easily adjustable here at the macros. The first one, Fuzz, is made up of a fuzz and buzz pedal in stereo, and it's a very aggressive, dry and gritty sound. We've then got 3 other amp sounds, followed by 4 effects. So a slap delay, long delay, a chamber room reverb, and some pitch width. First, let's take these effects out of the equation and these 3 amps, and we'll build the sound from scratch until we get something that's quite Muse-like. Okay, let's move on to the next guitar chain. And this one is different from the previous 2. This is a lot simpler, but no less dramatic. And this chain borrows a bit of style from the Black Keys guitarist Daniel Auerbach. It's based around 1 amp sound, the aggro, set to lead, into a parallel split rack, where we're adding an octave below with vocal bender, and some delay, but we're not using it really as a delay, we're using it to add some really immediate stereo interest, known as the Haas effects. And over on the macros, that's all we've got controls for. So direct amp level, the octave level, and the Haas effects. Let's just turn these down, and we'll build the sound together. Let's add the octave. Let's add the stereo interest. Now, because we're using an octave effect in this chain, it's going to be impossible for you to get a good sound playing chords with this. So stick to solos, stick to single note riffs, and you'll be golden. Okay, let's have a look at the last electric guitar chain in this video, Heavy Metal Balloon, which takes some inspiration from Jimmy Page. We're using 2 amps for this, the Silverado, and a classic amp from our GTR series, and these simulate front and back miking of an amp, which we've got on the macros here. We've got a little bit of phaser and a bit of room verb, so a very simple chain to get going with. Like we've done before, let's turn all these macros down and we'll build the sounds together. So that's the Silverado amp. Let's put the GTR amp in as well, that simulates the back microphone. Put some phaser in, and some verb. Again, this is another chain that works brilliantly as a rhythm sound, but also for leads. So there you have it, 4 big and beefy electric guitar sounds that take inspiration from some of the most legendary guitarists ever, right there for you in Waves StudioVerse. For more information on StudioVerse and to get access to the chains featured in this video, as well as thousands more for every track type, vocal, instrument and production style, visit waves.com.